Hey there, I'm here today to talk a little bit about something different than I have been on my other lean videos. So instead of just talking about an improvement that we're doing, I wanted to just discuss a concept. So this is actually kind of a lean improvement in itself. I was planning on sending out an email to kind of highlight the points of the discussion that I wanted to have. But as I wrote it, I realized that it was pretty long and that maybe most people would be better served to see it in video format instead of in writing. So if you see me kind of glance to the side like this, I'm just double checking my notes a little bit to make sure that I'm capturing everything that I wanted to share with you today, and let's see how this works out. I welcome your feedback, so reply to this email and let me know how it worked out if you've seen this. So the thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is sort of 2-second lean versus the 80-20 principle. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the 80-20 principle, or Pareto's principle, is sort of a law of disproportionate results. So it's saying a small group usually accounts for a large part of the results. So an example of this in a real stat would be that 20% of Canadians pay 56% of taxes. And this is true in all sorts of examples. If we look at our customers, if we look at people who complain, probably 20% of the population creates 80% or more of the complaints just because they're a little bit more critical. So it's just showing, there's not a one-to-one relationship. Everyone doesn't have an equal kind of impact on results. So the reason this came up was that I was in the basement. We were working on some cleaning up, and we had a little bit of an idea of going, hey, maybe this supply that we use should be stored somewhere else in the building closer to where we actually use it. And one of the comments someone sort of immediately had was, hey, that doesn't sound like an 80-20 idea. There's way bigger sources of waste. Why spend the time and energy dealing with something so small as this one supply when there's so many other things that we need to work on? So kind of got me thinking and going, hey, how does that apply? Because the concept of 2-second lean is that we teach our people to see waste, we teach them to fix what bugs them, and we encourage them to look every single day to find a tiny improvement that will save them at least 2 seconds of time. So sort of this difference between saying, what we need to find is the few things that create the greatest impact versus saying, hey, nothing is too small, and we should really encourage people to try and fix all small things. And so I went and looked at this and went, well, they both sound like they have their merit. And when I think about lean, I go, well, the reason that lean for me is important and should be used along with the 80-20 principle is that we don't all have the same ability to impact change in the organization. So not every single person here is able to fix that small 20 or even 10% of things that create 70 or 80% of our waste in our business. And so instead of going, well, just this small group of people who have the resources, the position, the knowledge to be able to really make big changes, instead of just having them work on change, what if we had 100% of our organization working on the changes that they can make? That's always going to be better than just looking and going, let's just focus on a small range of problems, which excludes a whole bunch of people from participating. The second reason that I really think we have to be careful in blanket applying 80-20 is that there's a whole bunch, like I said, of people in organization who can't make big changes, and seeing us as leaders making small changes is a great way for us to demonstrate our thinking and to show them accessible examples of things that they could do and hopefully inspire them to see waste that is similar in their day-to-day activities. So if as leaders we stick to only the big things, people only see us making the big changes, then their feeling of how much they can impact is going to be limited. So this was great. I'm really happy that this comment came out and kind of it stimulated some thinking. It made me clarify in my own mind sort of how those things fit together. And then there was one other thing that I thought played in. I don't want to make this too long, but there's another theory called the broken windows theory. And that I think also impacts why I think fixing small things is important. So basically broken windows theory says if you have a neighborhood and there's vandals and they break windows and you leave them, then the vandals will come and they'll do more and and more serious damage. But if when you see one broken window, one small violation, you fix it, you crack down on that thing right away, you set a standard for that thing, and in this case it's eliminating waste, you create an atmosphere where people know what the standard is and they hold to a high standard. And when something falls below it, they pick it up immediately. They're involved in the solution, and they're not used to seeing a broken window. So those violations or those lower standards don't start to sort of blend in to the background and sort of be something that, since we see them all the time, we ignore. So I hope that this is something that was valuable. Give me some feedback, and have a great weekend.